if we think about applications of AI and machine learning in general, right? All over you, I'm sure you've realized the new revolution. I'm sure you realize how things are changing as quickly as possible, right? And all this because of these artificial intelligence and machine learning innovations that are happening in the recent years, right? So machine learning and artificial intelligence actually there was a different form that if we think of statistical models, right? They were there previously, I mean, ages ago, right? But with this new kind of innovations, right? With this new kind of edge that AI and deep learning in general, I mean, which is under machine learning, is actually giving us more flexibility and more hands to do more things, right? It recently has made things to travel as fast as possible. Okay. Now, if you think of most of the prominent websites that you might have been visiting, right? You might realize that these days, if you visit the website, right, you don't actually get into contact with a human being a human being who will be testing. All right, if you want to chat, right, you chat with a bot, right? You chat with what they call chat bot, right? You chat with what they call chat bot, okay? You chat with what you call the chat bot. All these are things that AI is actually giving us, an edge to actually do that, right? All right, if you take say sentiment analysis, for instance, right? So now, if we see during the election time, right, in every time, in every year when it comes to the election time, right, you see that Twitter will actually make sure that they actually sieve the kind of messages that people tweet on Twitter, right? So they will be able to actually figure out the sentiment behind what people are testing. So if we test anything which is going to be public nuisance, which is not appropriate for public consumption, they will actually block that tweet, right? They will be able to block that tweet. Okay, but how do they actually know that what you're testing is something which is not good for public use, right? So they use what is called the sentiment analysis to actually get to understand the sentiment behind what you are testing, right? So if you think about a website like Amazon, just think about how many hackers want to hack that website within a day, right? A number of fraud hit the website each and every day, right? But how are they able to actually detect these fraud, right? Real time, how are they able to do that? And all this is because of, the power that AI is actually giving these companies to actually leverage. Okay, all these are power that AI is giving them. Now, if you think about how some of your emails will land in your spam folder and how some will also land in your inbox, right? How will the Gmail system actually get to understand that this particular email is supposed to go to the spam folder and some is supposed to go to, say, your inbox, right? How is it able to figure out? We will actually get to understand that when we get to the Bayes theorem, right? The naive Bayes class, right? When we get to the naive Bayes class, we will talk about how this spam, being classified as an email is being classified as spam or not, right? We will get to understand what's the concrete reason behind that when we get to the naive Bayes classification algorithm. Okay, now you get to actually understand how things are actually working when we take the algorithms one by one and discuss them. Okay, now if you, for instance, the example that we took, right, whether you want to predict if a new customer should be granted a loan or not, right? So all these are algorithms that we can build. That is, the banking systems are already using, in the health sector are already using, right? Whether a particular disease is likely to become pandemic or not. If you take the current situation of the coronavirus pandemic, right, you can think of how we're able to make some predictions whether it's actually, the curve is actually going to increase or we can flatten it, due to some measures that we can take. So all these are something that this AI and machine learning is giving us an edge to do. Think about how Google is able to deliver ad to you, right? So if you search any product on any website, right, and you close, even if you close your browser and come back again and visit other sites, you might end up seeing those ad again, right, retargeting you, right? And all these are something that AI will help us to do, right? If you go to, say, Amazon website and you buy say if you buy bread, you might be seeing that they are now recommending, say, butter to you, because they know that most people who buy bread also buy butter, right? So they will be seeing that people who buy this, right, people who buy this also buy that. Then they will try to give you that, right? When we talk about something called market basket analysis, right? We talk about something like that, and you get to understand how they actually do that when they are, I mean, how they actually do that people who buy this also buy that, right? When we talk about market basket analysis, you'll get to understand that. All right. So there are a lot of them. If you think about how Netflix actually recommend movies to you, right? How Netflix recommend movies to you. If you click on, say, war movies or maybe romantic movies, right? And then even if you close your Netflix app and then you open it again, they know the kind of movies that you like, right? You like romantic movies, and they're going to show you more of romantic movies. All right, so that is recommendation systems, and I mean, it's just a power of machine learning, right? AI in general that is giving us a power to do this, right? That is giving us an edge to do that. If you search any song on YouTube, you might be seeing several recommendations that they will be sending to you, and the kind of art that they will even show determines the kind of videos that you're watching. Okay, and all these are something that we figure out at the background, right? We use this AI and machine learning to learn from what the person is doing and then make decisions as to what the person is likely to do in the future, right? So this AI and machine learning is something that is going to be, I mean, crazier than we are seeing today, right? And it's easier, I mean, it's better you to get in early to get to understand how things work rather than being the late comer, right? If you are the laggard, you actually going to see the things flooded, I mean, around you, but it's easier, I mean, it's better you get in early, right? As we are progressing in this course, I mean, if you're taking, as you're taking this course, so you are likely to actually get to understand it as soon as possible, because things are going to be crazier as we progress. All right, so there are a lot of applications of this, and as we progress in the course, we're going to be seeing a number of them, right? You're going to be seeing a lot of them as we progress in the course. Okay, now let's take one more step and then talk about whether you are supposed to, I mean, there are several ways that you can build your machine learning model, right? There are several ways that you can build your machine learning model. Now what happens is that you can build the machine learning model right from the scratch, right? You can build it right from the scratch, right? So if you have the capacity, you can build your own machine learning right from the scratch, right? And you can also use what is called the pre-trained algorithm, right? Popularly now what is called the AutoML, right? What is called the AutoML right now. Okay, so now what happens is that most people, right, if you want to build your own machine learning algorithm, what happens is that it's more costly, right? It's more costly, right? It can cost you maybe something like if just an estimate, right? Just an estimate, it can cost you something like, say, 50,000, right? Say $50,000, right? It can cost you something like that, right? I mean, I've not even talk of, I mean, bringing other experts on board. Not only you as a machine learning engineer or as a data scientist. Maybe you need the cloud expert, right? You need a cloud engineer, right? You need a cloud engineer to come on board, right? Maybe you need a domain expert, right? You might need a domain expert, right, to come on board. All right, so all these are people that you actually we've not actually talked about how much you're going to pay them, right? We've not even talked about that, and the system itself, right? How you're going to host this, right? If you want to, I mean, how you're going to deploy this, even the system that will help you to build this, how efficient that system will be, right? It's all things that you need to take into consideration if you want to build your own machine learning model from scratch, right? Or, I mean, if you want to do it in production level, maybe like a banking or like an e-commerce site, right? So if you have a big company that you want to build this model, then it becomes more costlier, right? It becomes more costlier. But there's a way around that, right? There's a way around that. Now, if you take the pre-trained algorithms, if you take Amazon SageMaker, for instance, right? Now, if you take Amazon SageMaker, for instance, they have a pre-trained. So the algorithms that we're going to actually discuss, right, in our class, right, we're going to actually help you to understand how you're able to build these algorithms from scratch. Okay. Now, there's this pre-trained algorithms, right? So everything that we will discuss in the class, right, we have it already pre-trained that you can easily integrate that to your business goals and then achieve what you want to achieve in your business, right? You can actually make use of it. The good thing about this is that you don't pay as much as you, or you don't actually spend as much as you spend over here, right? Considering the system that you need to use, which might even be limited at your end, right? But this is a cloud-based, machine learning pre-trained algorithms that they have already that you can actually leverage as soon as possible, right? You can actually, and it doesn't actually demand you to be an expert, right? An expert machine learning engineer, right? It doesn't actually demand you to be an expert machine learning engineer before you can actually do that, okay? Because these have already been trained. The only thing that you need to know is your business goals. Understand your business goals, right? You need to actually understand your business goals. If you understand your business goals and what you actually need to achieve, then you can proceed with this. But if you don't actually know what you want to achieve, then that becomes another problem to figure out, okay? That becomes another problem to figure out. Now, you can take advantage of all these, right? So if you take H2O, Google Cloud, AutoML, data robot, right? All these are, capabilities that you can actually leverage and then use to actually deploy your machine learning models, right? If you want to even build it from scratch, right, you can still take advantage of these systems and then use them to build your own machine learning from scratch, okay? So let's say you've learned the concept. Let's say you understand the concept very well, right? Now, that gives you an edge when you actually want to deploy these machine learning models, because mostly what happens is that the business goals might not be exactly what these pre-trained algorithms are trying to achieve, okay? You need to actually modify these pre-trained algorithms to suit your business goals, all right? So what happens is that if you have a deep knowledge about these algorithms and how they work, right, then you can actually know that, okay, with these business goals, right? So with this business goals, these are the things that I need to actually achieve that. And whether you need to actually modify these pre-trained algorithms, then of course you can actually modify them. Though they've been already pre-trained, they've been built already, but you can still modify them, right? If you understand the core concept behind the machine learning models, right? If you understand the core concept behind that, you can actually modify each of these pre-trained, right? So you understand it, so it's actually going to help you to easily cut down the cost, right? Cut down the cost. And the good thing about this is that you don't pay at once, as you pay as per the resource that you use, right? You pay per the resource that you use. So according to the resource that you use, you pay according to that, okay? Unlike this one that you need to actually have your own system set up and a lot of resources that you need to spend on that, which is actually huge in cost, right? When you talk about implementation wise, it's actually costly, right? It's actually costly. Now, what happens is that if you actually want to build things from scratch, the two things that you need to take into consideration is creativity and innovation, right? You can think of the Uber app, right? You can think of the Uber app, or you can think of the Ola app, right? Or you can think of that, right? Now, what happens is that there's a problem already existing, right? There's a problem already existing. Now, what they do is that they use this machine learning, right? They use this machine learning to actually solve that problem as quickly as possible, right? As quickly as possible. You just download the app, you click on the destination, you just input the destination you're going, right? Your current destination, your current location, and then the destination that you're trying to reach, right? And then it just connects you to the driver will just come, you just get in, right? You just track your movement all the way along, right? So as simple as that, making your life as comfortable as that, right? And this problem has been existing since ages, right? And it's just this innovation, it's just this creativity that helped them to come up with that. Okay, so if you want to do things like that, of course you can, whether you're building it from scratch or whether you're using the pre-trained algorithms, right? You can either, you need these two, right? Creativity and innovation, right? If you're able to do that, if you're able to combine these two, right, you come up with a product, right? You come up with a product that people love to spend their money on, right? You come up with a product that people will love to spend their money on. All right, so you learn the concept, you get to understand the concept, right? Then you take advantage of this AutoML, right? You take advantage of this AutoML, right? Whether it's Amazon SageMaker or whether other services that you can actually find, right? any other service, right? Each of these ones over here can help you to do that. Okay, so first thing you need to do as maybe a machine learning engineer, right, or data scientist, right, the company will rely on you to actually implement this according to their business goals. So you are the one who's supposed to understand the concept behind these algorithms, right, and be able to leverage this, right, to help them cut down cost. You can help them to do this, to leverage these pre-trained algorithms, and they use them. Okay, so in that case, you will not spend say if you want to build your own algorithm, maybe you will spend like maybe a month. All right, you might spend maybe a month or two, right? So with this one, you can spend maybe 2 or 3 days to actually achieve the same thing that you might spend days and months or months to actually do the same thing. Okay, so this can actually help you to do that. All right. And we are going to actually go through these algorithms one by one so that you actually get to understand the intuition behind that. All right. So as I said, we're going to actually take machine learning, and then we dive into the various components of machine learning. Right. We're going to dive into that in the subsequent class that we will have, right, together. You're going to see that we're going to have we're going to consider the various components of machine learning and then take them one by one and discuss them. Okay, now in this case, we will start with supervised machine learning. Okay, let me change this pen so that you can actually see what I'm doing over here. Okay, so we're going to start with supervised machine learning. Then after that, we will take on supervised machine learning, right? And then we also touch on the reinforcement learning. Now, if you take each of these components, right? If we take, say, supervised machine learning, it has several components too that we are going to actually discuss, right? It has its own components that we're going to discuss. So we'll talk about classification, and our classification, we're going to consider a lot of situations, a lot of cases, and a lot of algorithms that we can actually use under that, right? If we take regression, there are a lot of situations and cases that we are going to actually consider over here, all right? And then as we are done with the supervised machine learning, then we go to the unsupervised machine learning. I'm going to explain to you what supervised machine learning means, what unsupervised machine learning means, right? And the various components under each of them, we are going to take it and then discuss it, okay? So we'll talk about the classroom, we talk about dimensionality reduction, and some other things which are not listed here, but we still consider them as we progress, okay? We're going to take them one by one, and then we'll talk about them. And then later on, we also touch on reinforcement learning. All right, we will touch on that too. Okay, so let's move on and then see what we have here, right? Let's see what we have here. So as I said, we're going to actually divide this, right? We are going to divide this into two main sessions. That is the supervised, right? That is the supervised, and then the unsupervised machine learning. Okay. Now, if we take the supervised machine learning, there are several things that we are going to consider over here, right? I will explain what supervised machine learning means just in a moment in this particular video. I'm going to spend some time and explain what supervised machine learning means and what unsupervised machine learning means, right? So for now, let's see the things that we are going to consider under these two, okay? Now, if we take the supervised machine learning, we're going to consider linear regression. We will be considering logistic regression, right? And then we will talk about naive Bayes, and then we talk about multiple regression, right? And then we talk about k nearest neighbor, right? We talk about k nearest neighbor. Then we talk about support vector machine, right? So that's these algorithms are going to be used when you have a supervised machine learning problem. Right, we're going to discuss what a supervised machine learning problem is in quite a few time to come. Okay, now after we are done with the supervised machine learning problem, then we will go to the unsupervised machine learning problem. And there are some algorithms that we can use when we have a unsupervised machine learning problem, right? For instance, we will talk about k-means, we will talk about high dimensional clustering, we will talk about hierarchical clustering, we will talk about dimension reduction over here, right? So I've grouped these into two so that later on you can come back and then refer to, as soon as you encounter the problem and you see that, oh, your problem is a supervised machine learning problem, then you know that which algorithms am I supposed to consider, right? And if your problem is unsupervised machine learning problem, then you know that, oh, which algorithms am I supposed to consider, okay? So as soon as you encounter the problem, you know whether the problem is actually pointing you, right? It's whether the problem is actually pointing you to supervised machine learning or it's pointing you to unsupervised machine learning. And if it's pointing you to a supervised machine learning problem, then you get to easily know that which algorithms am I supposed to consider. If it is unsupervised machine learning problem, then you know which algorithms am I supposed to consider. All right, so we're going to dive into this as we progress here. Right, we're going to dive into this.